What were they like when they began genealogy versus today? We ask in Firsts and Now. Meet Melvin Collier, author of Mississippi to Africa. What was the first genealogy software you used?
The first genealogy software I used was not necessarily a genealogy software. It was WordPerfect. Because I used to like to just write down what I found whenever I go to the archives. So I just come home and write it out because I love to write. So I would say WordPerfect.
And what are you using now?
I use Family Tree Maker. I use ancestry.com. I use Microsoft Word because I still like to write stuff out and chart stuff out, especially with DNA.
What's the first genealogy group you joined?
The very first genealogy group I joined was the Atlanta chapter of OGS, because I moved to Atlanta in 2004, and that's when I joined that group. Memphis didn't have a group at that time.
And which genealogy groups are you a member of now?
I am currently a member of the Central Maryland chapter of OGS and the National chapter of OGS.
What's the first oral interview you did for genealogy purposes?
The first oral history I did was with my mother. So I was always an inquisitive child. So I used to bombard her with questions.
And what's the last oral interview you've done?
The last, can't remember, sorry.
What's the first document you found?
The first document I found was the 1920 Soundex card for my mother's grandfather, Bill Reed.
And what's the last document you found?
The last document I found was just like over a week ago that I've actually had in my possession for like over 20 years. And it was a slave inventory, a slave will of Samuel Reed. And I didn't know if the bill that he mentioned in his will was actually my great grandfather, but now I have proof that he was. So a document I've had for 20 something years, and now it's becoming very fruitful. So,
what was your first genealogical challenge?
My first genealogical challenge was tracing my mom's grandfather back to South Carolina, because he had come from South Carolina to Mississippi, and nobody knew where in South Carolina he came from. So that was a huge challenge.
And what's your challenge now?
My challenge now, when I think about it, is my 3 times great grandfather, Wade Milam of Tate County, Mississippi. I'm desperate to find out more about him. I don't know more, so I'm at that 1870 brick wall with him.
What's the first advice you received about genealogy?
My very first advice was in August of 1993 when we went to Chicago to visit my aunt, and her son-in-law was into genealogy, and he had a big tree on his wall, and I was fascinated, and I asked him, how can I get started? So he said, when you get back home, go down to the Mississippi Archives Department in Jackson. That was my very first piece of advice.
Now, what advice would you give to a beginner?
Don't give up. It's challenging. It's frustrating, but don't give up. Keep searching, go back and search some more, because you can easily pick up something now and see something totally different, and you can knock down that brick wall. So don't give up.
Love it.